Hello everyone, you're all welcome back to another amazing tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this side gathered dress. It also have a crop jacket. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you the process of achieving this style. If this is your first time of joining us, thank you for being here. Do not forget to hit on that red button to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and also turn on your post notification bell so you're updated whenever I upload a new video. Alright, so this is what I achieved. Okay, to achieve this style I use 6 yards of fabric. Alright, the gathers is really full, but it's because it's on a mannequin you're not seeing the fullness. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric. I'll be cutting the front and the back together. Alright, so the only difference is the zipper allowance I added to the back part of the fabric. You can see the front started from that zipper line. So to know the amount of fabric to cut, what I did was to divide the largest part of my body measurement, which is my hip. I divided it by 4 and I added about extra 3 inches of allowance. So now I'm ruling my start line. That's where all my vertical measurements will start from. And for the horizontal, which is the body circumference, is going to begin from that zipper line. Okay, that line that you see there where the front part of the dress started from, that is where the horizontal measurement to begin from. The length of my gown is 42 inches, but I added extra 2 inches for hemming the down part, making it 44 inches in total. I'll go on and mark out my nipple point, which is 11 inches, and the waist point I'm working with is 18 inches. The hip point is 26 inches. I'll go on and rule a straight line across this point. Now the next thing is to take my shoulder measurement. Okay, I'm working with shoulder measurement of 16 inches. Go ahead and divide that by 2 to give me 8 inches. So see where I'm placing my tape from that zipper line. All right, take note of that. That's where I'm placing my tape to mark the 8 inches point. I'll take the neck width, which is 3 inches, and the neck depth for the back is 1 inch. The neck depth that I'll be using for the front is going to be 3 inches. I'll mark it down there, and then I'll create my curve. Alright, so I'll go over to the shoulder point. I'll be taking my shoulder slope. I'll come down by 1 inch and connect it to the neck width. The next thing is to mark my armhole depth, which is 8 inches. Because this is a sleeveless dress, I'm going to remove 1 inch. So I'm marking 7 inches instead of 8 inches. Always remove 1 inch from your armhole depth whenever you're working on a sleeveless style. Okay, it gives it a better fit. Now I went on to get the midpoint of my armhole depth, and I came in at that midpoint by 1/2 inch. I'll go on and divide my bust circumference by 4, and I marked it right there. So from my shoulder point, I'll connect to that 1/2 inch point I went in by, and then I'll connect it to my bust circumference to create my armhole curve. Okay, for the front. Then for the back, I just curved it. You see what I'm doing? Just curve it without taking it in. For the front, I went in by 1/2 inch, but for the back, from that midpoint of the armhole depth, just create your curve. All right. The next thing is to divide the waist measurement I'm working with by 4, and I went ahead to mark it there. I also divide the hip measurement by 4. I went ahead to mark it as well. All right. So what I have around my hip, I'll just go on and place it at the hem parts. I'll go on and connect all these points together. I'm working with bust circumference of 39 inches, waist circumference of 34 inches, and hip circumference of 41 inches. I'll go ahead and mark my dart line. To achieve this, what you need is your bust span, which is the measurement from one nipple to the other nipple. For this person is 9 inches, so you divide that by 2, which is 4.5, but I'll be adding ½ inch for sewing allowance, making it 5 inches. So I'm placing 5 inches at the hip point, the waist point, and the bust point. I went ahead to create a straight line connecting the points. Now at the waist point, I'm going to take ½ inch on both sides. At the bust point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. This is to give the bust enough room, and then I'll connect it to that ½ inch point. Then at the hip point, I'll go up by 2 inches and I'll connect like this. Now this same thing you do for the back. The only difference is that you're going to extend to the chest line. Instead of coming down at the bust point, you will extend to that chest line for the back. All right, so it's just literally the same thing. For the back side, you see, you're going to move your dart leg upward to that chest line. That's all you just need to do. I'll go over to the shoulder and I'll be adding ½ inch sewing allowance around the shoulder, and then also at the sides I'm going to be adding my sewing allowance of 1.5 inches to the bust point, and then also at the waist point I'm going to be adding 2.5. Remember we took that of 1 inch, so I'm going to be replacing that 1 inch. At the hip I added 1.5, and at the hem I added 1.5 as well. All right, so the only place I added 2.5 is the waist, and that is because of the dart intake. All right, replacing that measurement of 1 inch. The next thing is to go ahead and cut it out. When cutting, remember to cut the back neckline first and the back armhole first. All right, when you're done cutting it, you can remove the back and then recut that of the front. So I'm going to remove the back piece, and then I'll go on and cut out the front neckline and the front armhole. I forgot to eliminate my zipper bulge earlier. I should have done that before cutting out, so that I would have replaced that measurement along the waist, but it's still fine. What I'll be doing is to remove ½ inch from the sewing allowance that I have. So now at my waist point I went in by ½ inch. So that ½ inch point, I'm going to be connecting it upward, blending it into the zipper line, just the way you're seeing me going about it, and I'll also blend it downward as well. Now at the zipper allowance, I'm going to remove that ½ inch. Okay, so this is now going to serve as our new zipper allowance. I'll remove the ½ inch and blend it like this. Okay, so now I'm left with the initial 2 inches that I had for zipper allowance. It's only going to affect the sewing allowance at the side by ½ inch. Okay, so the next thing is for me to go on and cut it out. If you have watched this video to this point and you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do hit on the red button to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up as well. I'm done cutting. The next thing is for me to place the front part of the dress on the back. Okay, I'm going to place it like this, and I'll be creating that curve around the side. To do that, I'm going to mark 3 inches from my waist point. I'm marking 3 inches down to the hip point and then to the hem of my dress. After marking, I'll go on and connect the points like this. Then at my waist point to the side, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Okay, from the waist point, this is going to serve as my sewing allowance. Now we are going to be making gathers around the waist. You can choose to add ½ inch sewing allowance and it's still fine. So I'm going to be creating a curve like this, connecting it to the sewing allowance that I just came down by. You can see how I'm going about it. So I'll just create my curve, blending it into that 3 inches line like this. So this is how I created my curve. Just follow it this way and you achieve a good result. Next, I'll just go on and cut it out. Right, so this is it. I'll keep this one aside and I'll go ahead and cut my lining. So I've gone ahead to cut the lining, and I also added interfacing to the main fabric. I'll place my lining on the right face of the fabric and I'll use 1/2 inch to sew around the neckline. I'll do same thing with the back part of the dress. I'll sew around the neckline and also around the zipper area all the way down. Let me show you a very quick and neat way of sewing your dart. I went ahead to run a straight stitch down my dart line, and then I'm going to fold it like this. I'll go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew my dart. Alright, okay, I'll do same thing with the back part of my dress as well. And when I'm done, this is what I have. Okay, so when you turn it to the wrong face, you can see how neat the finishing is. All the rough edges is hidden in between the main fabric and the lining, and everything is looking so neat. Now to finish off the armhole and the side of the dress, just go ahead and turn your fabric like this. Just pick it up like this. Put the rest parts in between it like this, in between the lining and the main fabric. I'll turn it over like this, and then I'll use 1/2 inch to sew it all the way down. Alright, I'm done sewing. Let me show you how to pull it out. After sewing, this is what I have. Alright, it's very easy to do. Go ahead and notch around the armhole so it can relax very well. Now I'll just go on and pull out the fabric like this and bring it to the right face. So this is what I have. I'll do same thing for the other side of the dress, the front part of the dress as well. This is the back part of my dress. I've gone ahead to also sew the dart lines. Alright, so the next thing is for me to add my zipper to the back. I'm done attaching my zipper to the back. I still have the armhole and the side area opened. Okay, so I'm going to be placing it on the front part, right face facing each other like this. Now, if you see, because I've closed off the front armhole, you can see the excess 1/2 inch I have for the back. When sewing, I'm going to stop before that 1/2 inch, alright? So the next thing is for me to take my back lining and I'm going to bring it all the way to the front like this. Okay, I'll use my pins to hold it down, and I'll be going over to my sewing machine. I'll use 1/2 inch to sew it, and I'm going to stop sewing where the front shoulder is going to end. So for the back shoulder, you're going to have 1/2 inch left unsewn there. Alright, so from that 1/2 inch, I'll be closing up the armhole. Just go on and turn your fabric like this. Okay, make sure the right face and of the fabric and that of the lining come together. You push the remaining fabric inside. Alright, and bring the main fabric and the lining together like this around the armhole. From that 1/2 inch left at the shoulder, I'm going to sew all the way down. You need to really push it inside because this is more bulky than when I did only the front. So it's the same process I used to close up the armhole for the front. It's the same process I'm using for the back. Alright, you can see how I'm going about this. So I'll just go on and sew it all the way down. I'm done sewing. This is what I have. So I'll go on and pull it out. Don't forget to notch the armhole area. I'm going to pull it out like this, and yeah, you can see how everything is looking neat. So if you don't want to go through the stress of all of this, you can just use bias or facing to finish up the armhole area and also the neckline. All right, it's just based on your preference. Okay, and what you feel you can do, but this will give you a neater outcome. So I'll do the same thing for this other side, and then I'll iron it. I'm done giving it a good press, and this is what I have. The next thing is to join it at the sides. I'm going to use my sewing allowance, okay, to connect at the sides, to sew the sides together. After sewing the sides, this is how it's looking. So now the next thing is to cut out the fabric that I'll use to create my gathers. I have this fabric right here. The length is about 27 inches, and I measure the length of what I have from the side like this, okay, and I have about 27 inches. You can also use the piece you cut out to measure the length as well. And the width, okay, the width is about 80 inches for each side. For each side, I cut out 80 inches in width. So to achieve that, what I did was to multiply my waist circumference of 32 inches by 2.5. I use 6 yards of Ankara to achieve this style. If you don't have up to 6 yards, you can use 1.5. You can multiply your waist circumference by 1.5 or 2 inches. So I have these two, okay, for each side of the gathers, and is 80 inches each in width. All right. I'll also be cutting and sewing a crop jacket for this gown, which I'll be showing you soon. Now I'll be using the piece that I cut out from the side earlier, okay, to create the shape on the new piece before connecting it to the side. So I'll go on and slash it into two like this. Okay, now after slashing it, I'm going to be placing it on this bigger piece. All right, so I'll place it from the other end. I folded it into two. So I place this this piece, the one that have this curve like this, at this end, which is the open end of the fabric. Okay, make sure when you place it, it's touching the hem, which is very important. Make sure it's touching the hem, the down part. Let it be equal with the piece that you cut out. Okay, then the next thing is for me to place the other piece at the middle part of the fabric. I'll go on and place it like this, and be sure that you are placing it in the right position. Okay, you are placing the piece in the right position, and make sure it's also touching the hem of the bigger piece. Let the hem be equal with the piece that you divided into two. So after doing that, I'm going to trace out the curve like this. Okay, I'm going to trace out the curve. Just watch how I'm going about this. Trace out the curve to the other end. After tracing out the curve, I'll just go on and cut it out. Please hit on the red button to subscribe if you have not, and also give this video a thumbs up. Now I'm going to be placing it on the dress like this. Okay, this is right face facing each other. I'll pin it down. I'll also be adding the other end of the piece to the other side, the back side of my dress. I'm going to attach it like this, turn it over like this, right face. Just make sure right face to right face is facing each other. I'll pin this down as well, and I'll be using 1/2 inch to sew it down. After sewing it down, I'll start creating my gathers from that point all around the waist side like that. Okay, so I'm done creating my gathers, and this is what I have. You can see how beautiful the dress is looking. Take your time. I made very tiny pleats all around. Let me quickly show you how to make the crop jacket. So I have this piece cut out already. I have 2 of it. I'll be cutting out the front and the back together. To achieve the width that I used to cut out the piece, I divided my bust measurement by 4 and I added about 2 inches extra for allowance. So I'll be placing my shoulder measurement of 16 inches divided by 2, which is 8 inches. I added half inch for sewing allowance. The neck width I'll be working with is 3 inches. Neck depth for the back is 1 inch, and neck depth for the front is 3 inches. I'll go on and create my curve. Then I'll go over to the shoulder point. I'll come down by 1 inch to create my shoulder slant. Now at that shoulder slant, I'll take my armhole depth of 8 inches, which is my bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. So the length of this jacket is 17 inches. I'm making use of my under bust point, which is 16 inches. I added 1 inch for sewing allowance. I'll divide my bust measurement by 4 and I'm going to mark what I have right there. I'll add my sewing allowance of 1.5 inches and I'll just rule a straight line down. There's no need to shape it. I'll get the midpoint of the armhole depth and I'm going to mark it right there. At that midpoint, I'll just create the curve for the back armhole, and then for that of the front, I'll come in by half an inch and then I'll create the curve for the front, connecting from the shoulder point to that half inch point. Okay, then the next thing is for me to add half inch sewing allowance around the shoulder. After I'm done doing that, I'll go on and cut out. Remember to cut out for the back first. I'll cut the back neckline and armhole. Then the sides, I'll remove it, then cut out that of the front. After cutting that of the front, I went ahead to slash it into 2. Okay, and I also, but the back is going to remain the same. I also went ahead to attach interfacing to it. I'll place it right face facing each other like this, and I'll use half inch to sew around the shoulder. I also went ahead to cut out lining for it as well. So this is the back piece and this is the front piece. For the front piece, I'll just divide it into 2, just like I did for the main fabric. I'll also be connecting it together right face to right face like this, and I'll use half inch to sew it at the shoulder as well. I'm done sewing the main fabric. This is what I have along the shoulder, and this is how it's looking. I've also sewn the lining piece separately as well. The next thing is for me to sew around the neckline. So I'm going to be placing the lining piece on the main fabric, right face facing each other. I'll use my pins to secure it. Just make sure the shoulders are aligning, the midpoint of the back neckline is aligning. Use your pins to secure it and be sure that everything is aligning properly. All right. So now after doing this, I'm going to use half inch to sew round the neckline down to the front part of my jacket. Okay, I'll sew round to the front part of the jacket as well. After sewing, this is what I have. I'll go ahead and notch round, okay, before turning it to the right face. After turning it over, go ahead and arrange it properly. Then I'll show you how to neatly close up the sides. Now after arranging it, I'm going to be sewing the lining together. I'll bring the lining piece like this, right face facing each other. All right. I'll use my sewing allowance to sew it at the sides there. I think I added 1.5 or 1 inch. I'll use it to sew it there. Then I'll go over to the main fabric, right face facing each other. I'll put it together like this, and I'll use my sewing allowance of 1 inch to sew it all the way down. All right, I'll do same thing with the other part of the fabric of the jacket as well. I'm done sewing, so I'll just go ahead and turn everything over, and this is what I have. The next thing I need to do is to close up the down part. To do that, I'm going to turn my fabric over like this again, right face facing each other. You see what I have? This is right face to right face, and I'll use 1/2 inch to sew it at that down part. I'm done sewing and I also went ahead to iron it. The next thing is for me to attach the sleeve. I didn't show the cutting process because this video is already too long, but I have a very detailed tutorial on my channel on how to draft a basic sleeve. I'll be dropping the link in the description box, and I'll also be linking a card up somewhere at the right or left. Okay, I'll just go on and attach the sleeve to the jacket. You might notice a little bit of bulge along the armhole area of the dress. Just use 1/2 inch on both sides to create a dart to eliminate that bulge. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. Thanks for watching. Bye.